What if I told you that a vitamin currently sitting in your medicine cabinet, like a pill you might take specifically to protect your health and live longer, was actually capable of increasing your risk for cancer by 17%?
I mean, it sounds completely backwards, right?
It really does. But today, we are taking a massive stack of clinical data and aiming it squarely at something you probably think you already understand.
Yeah, because it is literally fortified into your breakfast cereal. It's marketed on the front of, skincare bottles.
Exactly. You have known its name since you were a kid.
Yeah.
We are taking a hard look at vitamin E.
And it is the perfect case study in how our cultural assumptions about health they collide with biological reality.
Yeah, we have this collective blind spot, don't we? We just assume that if a nutrient is natural, it must be harmless.
Right. And if a little bit is good for you, a massive dose must be this, like impenetrable protective shield, which the data shows is just not true.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to understand how a daily vitamin can suddenly become a biological hazard, we first have to clarify what it actually is.
Well, first off, vitamin E is not a single uniform molecule.
Right.
You cannot just look at it under a microscope and say, there it is. It's actually a collective term.
So it's a family of nutrients.
Exactly. The overarching scientific name for this group of nutrients is tocochromonols.
Tocochromonols, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in nature, you have 8 different structural variations just sort of floating around. There are 4 tocopherols and 4 tocotrienols.
And those are categorized into like alpha, beta, gamma, and delta forms.
We got it. Both groups have those 4 forms.
So it's less of a single vitamin and more of a family of 8 distinct siblings.
That's a great way to put it.
But looking at the stack of research in front of us, the scientific community seems to heavily play favorites.
They absolutely do.
Yeah, because almost all the data, the dietary recommendations, the medical warnings, they all revolve around just one of those siblings, which is alpha tocopherol.
Well, there's a biological reason for that.
Yeah.
Alpha tocopherol is the one your body actively prefers, and honestly, it hoards it.
Really? How does that work?
So when you consume foods with a mix of these different forms, your liver uses a specific transfer protein,
Okay.
and it essentially acts like a bouncer at a club.
A bouncer.
Yeah, it grabs onto the alpha tocopherol and shuttles it into your bloodstream to be used, while mostly ignoring the other 7.
Oh, wow. So it just kicks the others out.
Pretty much. It sends it to be excreted.
Yeah.
And that is why dietary recommendations are typically measured in Miller's ATE.
Right, which stands for milligram equivalents of alpha tocopherol.
Exactly.
You know, I always see those acronyms on nutrition labels, and I just assume it's arbitrary lab jargon.
Most people do.
So AT is basically a conversion rate then. It tells you how much actual biological work the vitamin is doing, using alpha tocopherol as the baseline standard.
Precisely. It measures the functional impact rather than just the physical weight of the substance.
And what is that functional impact? What is it actually doing?
It is entirely about protecting fats. Alpha-tocopherol is a fat-soluble antioxidant. Its primary job is to embed itself into the fatty parts of your cells, specifically the lipid membranes that encase them.
Like a protective shell.
Yeah, and once it's there, it acts as a biological fire blanket.
A biological fire blanket. I like that visual.
It's very accurate.
So when free radicals, which are, basically unstable molecules looking to steal electrons, when they come crashing into your cells.
The alpha-tocopherol literally throws itself on the spark before it can set your cellular walls on fire.
That is incredible.
And beyond neutralizing those oxidative sparks, it has highly active mechanical roles too.
Like what?
Well, your immune system relies on it to physically battle invading bacteria and viruses.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it also operates within your cardiovascular system to widen your blood vessels and prevent blood cells from sticking together and clotting.
So it fights off invaders, it smothers cellular fires, and keeps your blood flowing smoothly.
Exactly.
Hearing that, you would think we should all be drowning ourselves in this stuff.
You would think so, yes.
And this brings us to the central paradox of our deep dive today. We are going to see clinical data showing that the line between protecting your brain from cognitive decline and actively fueling a life-threatening disease is razor thin.
It really is. The dosage and the source determine whether you are providing your body with a vital tool or just throwing a wrench into its cellular machinery.
Before we get into the dangers of taking too much, though, let's look at a staggering piece of data regarding how little we actually have.
We have to start there, yeah.
There was a massive systematic review published in the International Journal for Vitamin and Nutrition Research.
2016, right?
Yes, 2016. And we're talking about 132 individual studies aggregated together.
So this is wild.
encompassing nearly 250,000 participants across 46 different countries. Ages ranged from literal newborns to 106-year-olds.
I mean, the sheer scale of that data set gives us a highly accurate snapshot of global human health.
It really does. And they found that only 1/5 of the global population meets the recommended baseline levels for vitamin E.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
80% of the entire human population is failing to hit the target.
Right.
The highest shortfalls are in the Middle East and Africa, hovering around a 27% severe deficiency rate.
Which is incredibly high.
But it is not isolated to developing nations or regions with widespread malnutrition. The Asia-Pacific region is at 16% and Europe sits at 8%.
And you might assume the United States, with its total obsession with fortified foods, would be the exception here.
Right, because we put vitamins in everything. But the 2015 NAA survey, the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, proves otherwise.
Yeah, they analyzed nearly 8,000 subjects in the U.S. to see what happens to individuals who rely exclusively on their diet, completely avoiding supplements.
And the numbers are almost unbelievable. Nearly 9 out of 10 young adults in their 20s are technically deficient.
9 out of 10.
7 out of 10 adults in middle age, and 4 out of 10 older adults.
They also noted these shortfalls are even more pronounced in African American and Mexican American populations.
It's like we're running a car on a quarter tank of gas without realizing the fuel gauge is broken.
That's a really good analogy.
So if 80% of us are missing this crucial biological fire blanket, what happens when the tank runs completely dry? When the cellular fires start burning?
Well, a true, severe long-term deficiency is a devastating neurological condition.
Neurological, not just immune.
No, primarily neurological. The lipid membranes we discussed earlier are especially critical in your nervous system.
Okay, why is that?
Your nerves are insulated by a sheath of myelin, which is essentially a layer of fat.
Oh, I see.
When you lack vitamin E, that fatty insulation is relentlessly attacked by free radicals. The nerves physically degrade.
So it's like the plastic coating on a copper wire wearing away until the wire shorts out.
Exactly. And that short-circuiting manifests as a literal loss of feeling in the arms and legs, a complete loss of movement control, muscle wasting, and severe vision degradation.
That sounds terrifying.
It is. And long-term, it severely compromises the liver and kidneys.
But hold on, this is where the data feels kind of disconnected from reality.
How so?
If 9 out of 10 young people in the U.S. have low levels, why aren't our hospitals overflowing with people losing control of their limbs? We are collectively running on a quarter tank, but the cars aren't stalling out.
Right. Well, the human body is incredibly resilient, and it operates on a threshold system.
What does that mean?
It means healthy individuals, even those with chronically low serum levels, rarely dip below the absolute bare minimum required to maintain that nerve insulation.
Oh, so they have just enough.
Yeah. Symptomatic severe deficiency is almost exclusively seen in people with specific fat malabsorption disorders.
Because it's a fat-soluble vitamin.
Exactly. If your body can't process a hamburger, it can't process the vitamin E in your system either.
Right, that makes total sense.
Individuals dealing with Crohn's disease, cystic fibrosis, or even those punishing themselves with highly extreme zero-fat diets for years on end.
They're the ones who cross that clinical threshold into actual neurological damage.
Yes. For the rest of the general population, being quote-unquote deficient just means you are operating suboptimally, not critically.
The ultimate goal for the listener, then, is to get out of that suboptimal zone using food.
Yes, and the literature is absolute on this point. You literally cannot overdose on vitamin E from a dietary source.
Never.
Never. Your digestive system has natural bottlenecks. It controls the absorption rate of the tocochromosomes coming from food, and it just discards what it cannot safely store.
So you can safely load up on sunflower seeds, spinach, Swiss chard, and beet greens.
Absolutely.
And if you prefer things with a bit more crunch, almonds, broccoli, bell peppers, and tomatoes are all excellent sources. Even avocados and olive oil are packed with it.
Because the body knows exactly how to extract the benefit from an almond without crossing into toxicity.
That is so reassuring.
But our modern mindset rarely settles for the slow, natural route, right? We see a deficiency statistic, and the immediate instinct is to seek out a concentrated, high-dose capsule.
The supplement aisle. And this is where the science takes a very dark turn. Let's look at the mathematical trap of the supplement industry.
It really is a trap.
The DRI, the dietary reference intake established by health authorities for adults and teens, is just 15 milligrams a day.
which translates to 22.4 IU or international units.
Right.
And the IU metric is crucial here because, much like the ATE measurement we talked about, it calculates the biological potency of a substance, not just its weight in milligrams.
It tells us how hard the vitamin is going to hit your system.
Exactly.
Your body needs 22.4 of these units, but if you pick up a standard bottle of vitamin E soft gels at the pharmacy, you aren't getting 22 units.
Not even close.
You are often getting 400 or sometimes 1,000 units per pill.
And that is a massive problem. The tolerable upper limit, the absolute red line before things get demonstrably toxic, is 1,500 IU for natural supplements derived from food.
And it's even lower for synthetics, right?
Right. It's 1,100 IU for synthetic lab-created versions.
Why is the synthetic limit lower?
The synthetic versions have a lower upper limit because their molecular structure is slightly different. Your liver's transfer protein, that balancer we talked about, doesn't recognize or bind to the synthetic molecules as efficiently.
Oh, I see.
So that makes them somewhat less bioavailable, but they remain highly concentrated in the digestive tract.
So people are swallowing pills that push them right to the edge of that toxic red line.
And every single day.
And the immediate biological consequence of crossing that line is severe bleeding.
Yeah.
We mentioned earlier that vitamin E prevents blood cells from sticking together. It acts as an anticoagulant.
Right. It directly interferes with vitamin K, which is the nutrient responsible for your blood's clotting cascade.
Okay, so they fight each other.
Exactly.
Mm.
If you flood your system with massive doses of vitamin E, your blood becomes dangerously thin.
And the most severe manifestation of this is a hemorrhagic stroke, right?
Wow.
Where a blood vessel in the brain ruptures and the blood simply cannot clot to stop the bleed.
Yes. It is incredibly dangerous.
So wait, let me play devil's advocate for a moment.
Go for it.
What if I take a moderate supplement, say, I don't know, 200 units? I avoid the bleeding risk, but I get a massive surge of antioxidants.
Okay.
Isn't that just good extra insurance for a longer life? I neutralize more free radicals, my cells age slower, and I just live longer.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, that is the marketing promise, sure. But the clinical reality is a complete flatline.
A flat line.
A massive 2011 meta-analysis published in the journal Current Aging Science looked at this exact premise.
And how big was this study?
Huge. They aggregated 57 different randomized controlled trials spanning 2 decades, tracking over 246,000 subjects.
Oh, wow. So they monitored these individuals for years, cataloging over 29,000 deaths to see if the group taking vitamin E outlived the group taking a placebo.
And the researchers found zero association.
None.
None. Taking the supplement did not reduce all-cause mortality, nor did it significantly increase it across the aggregate. It is neither beneficial nor harmful for longevity. It was biologically useless for extending the human lifespan.
That is wild. So swallowing that capsule every morning doesn't buy you an extra decade of life?
No, it doesn't.
But if it doesn't extend your overall lifespan, does it at least offer targeted protection? I mean, heart disease is the #1 killer on the planet.
True.
Surely a vitamin that prevents blood clotting and protects lipid membranes does something to protect the cardiovascular system.
You would definitely assume so, but the data is incredibly fractured.
Fracture how?
Well, a massive 2013 meta-analysis in the BMJ analyzed 50 trials with nearly 295,000 participants and found absolutely no evidence that vitamin E prevents cardiovascular disease.
No evidence at all.
None. In fact, they pointed out a glaring conflict of interest. The only trials in their dataset that showed lower heart attack rates were directly funded by the pharmaceutical companies manufacturing the supplements.
Oh, well, that is the kind of red flag that makes you want to just throw the whole bottle away.
Exactly. But science is never that simple.
Of course not.
Because just 2 years after that damning BMJ report, a 2015 Italian meta-analysis looked at 16 randomized trials and found that taking a moderate dose of vitamin E between 400 and 800 IU daily did significantly reduce the risk of a heart attack.
Wait, really? It did work?
Yes. But there was a massive caveat in the Italian data.
What was it?
The protective effect only materialized when vitamin E was administered entirely alone.
Alone.
When it was taken in a multivitamin mix or alongside other antioxidants, the cardiovascular benefit vanished completely.
But why would mixing it with other vitamins cancel out the benefit? Isn't the whole premise of a multivitamin that they all work together in harmony?
Not at high doses. When you flood the digestive tract with a massive concentrated dose of multiple antioxidants at once, they can aggressively compete for the same absorption pathways.
Like too many people trying to fit through the same door.
Exactly. Furthermore, antioxidants work by taking on the instability of a free
Oh,
radical.
right, by smothering the spark.
Right. But in a chaotic, high-dose chemical environment, certain mixed antioxidants can actually fail to recycle each other properly, transforming into pro-oxidants that cause the very damage they are meant to prevent.
Wow, so even when it works for the heart, it's highly conditional.
Very conditional.
And just to muddy the waters further, a 2012 Boston study tracking nearly 40,000 healthy women over a decade found that taking it every other day had zero effect on preventing heart failure.
Yeah, the cardiovascular data is a frustrating tug of war.
But if the heart data is confusing, the cancer data is terrifying.
It really is.
Because initially, a 2014 study of over 14,000 male physicians showed no effect on cancer risk. But then we have the 2011 SELECT trial.
Yes, the selenium and vitamin E cancer prevention trial. This is one of the most sobering pieces of medical literature regarding supplements.
This was a colossal undertaking, roughly 35,000 healthy men.
Across the U.S., Canada, and Puerto Rico, yeah.
And the hypothesis was straightforward: flood the body with antioxidants, stop cellular mutations, and prevent prostate cancer.
Right. And in 2008, the initial data showed no benefit. It looked like another flat line. But the researchers kept monitoring the men.
And here's where it gets really interesting. 3 years later, the data shifted dramatically.
It did.
The healthy men who were assigned to take the vitamin E supplements exhibited a 17% higher risk of being diagnosed with prostate cancer compared to the placebo group.
A 17% increase.
They took a vitamin to stay healthy and actively fueled the development of a tumor. How is that biologically possible? How does an antioxidant cause cancer?
It comes down to how our immune system operates on a microscopic level.
Okay.
We are conditioned to think of oxidative stress and free radicals as purely evil entities that must be eradicated.
Right, the sparks we need to smother.
But our immune system actually uses free radicals as weapons.
Right, really?
Yes. When your body detects a mutated precancerous cell, your immune cells attack it by blasting it with reactive oxygen species, essentially shooting biological bleach at the tumor to destroy it.
It uses controlled oxidative stress to burn the cancer away.
Exactly. So if you artificially flood your system with massive doses of an antioxidant like vitamin E, you risk neutralizing your own immune system's weapons.
Oh my God.
The high-dose supplement acts as a shield, protecting the precancerous cells from being destroyed, allowing the tumor to grow unchecked.
That completely shatters the illusion that natural supplements are inherently harmless.
Yes, it proves that these are highly active biological agents.
If your cellular mechanics don't require intervention, forcing high doses into your system can cause the entire machine to misfire.
Precisely.
So, if healthy individuals shouldn't blindly supplement, who actually needs extra vitamin E from supplements?
The research points toward our aging brains and our metabolic systems.
Okay, let's look at the metabolic side first, because this reveals an incredible survival mechanism built into our biology.
It is fascinating.
There was a 2017 trial of 20 subjects that studied individuals with metabolic syndrome.
Right. And for anyone dealing with that specific cluster of issues, abdominal obesity, glucose intolerance, high cholesterol, high blood pressure.
Your body is essentially in a state of chronic systemic inflammation.
Exactly. The researchers took a group of healthy subjects and a group with metabolic syndrome, gave them all vitamin E, and tracked how their bodies processed it.
And the subjects with metabolic syndrome excreted significantly less of the vitamin.
Yes. Their bodies were actively retaining between 30 and 50% more of the nutrient than the healthy subjects. They have an increased biological need for it.
So a completely healthy liver will process excess vitamin E and send it to the kidneys to be flushed out. But in these subjects, the body suddenly started hoarding the vitamin.
Because of a physiological alteration of catabolism.
Catabolism being the breakdown of complex molecules, right?
Yes, to clear out excess. In the presence of metabolic syndrome, the body recognizes that it is drowning in oxidative stress. It deliberately halts the catabolism of vitamin E.
It stops throwing away the fire blankets.
Exactly. It knows it needs every single one to fight the internal damage.
It's an internal triage operation. The body recognizes a crisis and overrides its normal filtering systems to hoard the exact tool it needs.
Which means someone with metabolic syndrome physically processes the vitamin differently than a perfectly healthy subject.
That is amazing. Now, what about the brain? Does hoarding this antioxidant protect our neural pathways from dementia?
Well, the evidence there requires some nuance. A 2017 Canadian study tracking over 5,200 subjects linked vitamin E supplementation to a modestly lower risk of cognitive impairment.
Okay, that sounds promising.
And a 2013 European study of 140 subjects echoed this, showing that higher serum levels also reduce that risk.
But then we have the 2017 JAMA neurology follow-up to that disastrous SELECT trial.
Right. They took nearly 3,800 of those older men who had participated in the prostate cancer study and tracked their cognitive health.
And what did they find?
No statistical difference in dementia incidence for those taking the supplement.
None.
The supplement failed entirely to forestall dementia in that cohort.
So what does this all mean for the listener? We have studies saying it saves your memory and others saying it does absolutely nothing.
It means we have to abandon the concept of the magic bullet. Science isn't a magic bullet.
Right.
The effectiveness of vitamin E supplements relies heavily on the baseline health of the individual taking them.
Like the metabolic patients.
Exactly. For a metabolic patient drowning in oxidative stress, it might be a necessary intervention. But for a perfectly healthy individual, that same pill could be a catalyst for devastating harm.
Which crystallizes the ultimate takeaway from this deep dive. Vitamin E is an absolute biological necessity.
100%.
It maintains your nerve insulation, it powers your immune responses, and it keeps your blood vessels clear. And considering that 4/5 of the globe is falling short, you likely need to increase your intake.
But the vehicle for that intake is what matters.
Right. Loading up your plate with spinach, tossing some almonds in your oatmeal, or using olive oil on a salad that is incredibly safe and deeply necessary.
Your digestive system is perfectly evolved to extract exactly what it needs from a sunflower seed without ever pushing you into a dangerous overdose.
But reaching for a high-dose synthetic supplement pill requires serious caution.
It really does. Unless you are under medical supervision for a diagnosed malabsorption issue or a severe metabolic condition, forcing a mega dose of an active biological agent into a healthy system is a gamble.
It can be completely useless, or in the case of prostate cancer, actively harmful. Vitamins are not passive shields. They are aggressive tools that alter how your cells function.
Definitely.
And to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over today, think back to that 2017 metabolic syndrome study.
The hoarding mechanism.
Right. The discovery that when a body develops a chronic disorder, it automatically rewires its own filtering system, slowing down catabolism to purposefully retain 30 to 50% more of a specific nutrient to fight the unseen inflammation.
It's brilliant when you think about it.
It really is. So if our bodies are smart enough to automatically hoard specific nutrients when we develop metabolic disorders, what other unseen internal triage operations are happening inside you right now without you ever knowing?